From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, November the 25th, 2025. Terror groups Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hamas handed over a coffin which it claims contains the remains of a hostage to the Red Cross today, which then handed the coffin over to the IDF. The IDF said the coffin of the deceased hostage, escorted by IDF troops, crossed the border into the state of Israel and was taken to the National Institute for Forensic Medicine for identification. The IDF repeating that Hamas is required to uphold the ceasefire agreement and take the necessary steps to return all the deceased hostages. If the remains indeed are identified as a hostage, that will leave 2 hostages whose remains are still being held by Hamas in Gaza. The United Nations General Assembly once again adopted resolutions sponsored by Israel on agricultural technologies for development. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, shared today and thanked the countries who voted in favor, saying this initiative enables countries around the world to advance their agricultural sectors, from the fields of the Negev to those in Africa and Asia. I thank the 129 partner countries that supported the Israeli resolution and are working with us to strengthen the future of global agriculture. Prosecutors in Germany have opened an inquiry into a man suspected of being a Nazi camp guard who took part in executions. French news agency AFP reports the suspect, now 100 years old, is suspected of working at a prisoner of war camp in Hammer in Western Germany from December of 1943 to September of 1944. 2 Jewish members of Congress have proposed that the U.S. recognize November the 30th as Yom HaPlitim, or Jewish Refugee Day, to commemorate the expulsion of approximately 900,000 Jews from Arab countries after the founding of the State of Israel. The resolution was submitted this past Friday by Republican Craig Goldman and Democrat Debbie Wasserman Schultz. The resolution includes educational efforts to teach the history of the forced displacement and exile of the Jewish people, and states that Congress continues to support the security of the State of Israel and the Jewish people around the world. Wasserman Schultz, who presented a similar bill last year that expired, told the JTA recognizing Jewish Refugee Day helps to ensure that Congress continues to bring awareness to the history of anti-Semitism and stand with the Jewish community around the world. Chairman of the U.S. House Committee on Education and Workforce, Tim Walberg, announced yesterday that he is launching a nationwide investigation into anti-Semitism at 3 school districts: Berkeley Unified, Fairfax County, and the School District of Philadelphia, after reports of Jewish students being harassed and subjected to open anti-Semitism in their classrooms and hallways. CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt, called the investigation an important step in exposing and confronting the rising tide of anti-Semitic harassment, intimidation, and exclusion that Jewish students face in our nation's classrooms. The ADL saying that it looks forward to working with the committee, school districts, educators, and communities to ensure that this investigation leads to meaningful reforms and helps create learning environments where every student feels safe, valued, and included. B'nai B'rith International presented its Upstander Award to actor-comedian Michael Rapaport this week for standing proudly and publicly, it wrote, with Israel and calling out anti-Semitism, saying he has used every part of his platform to push back against lies about Israel, expose rising anti-Semitism, and demand moral clarity from those who prefer silence. That his voice, leadership, and conviction inspire others to stand up for what is right, even in the face of adversity. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, November the 25th. At 7 o'clock, Michael Eisner, who transformed Disney into an entertainment powerhouse, talks about his book, Camp: Life, Leadership, and Why You Never Stop Paddling. At 7:30, Elana Stein Hain speaks with community advocacy strategist Stacy Burdett to examine how Jews can advocate for themselves and what tools they should use. At 8, Justin Pine speaks with psychologist and rabbi Dr. Benjy Epstein to explore how ancient Jewish wisdom and modern mindfulness come together to help us live with greater awareness, gratitude, and peace. At 9, Alan Fagan is on L'chaim. At 10:30, an encore of the news, and coming up next, it's the ILTV's Insider. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, November the 25th, 2025. I'm Teisha Bader. Am Yisrael Chai.